I want to start by saying Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and yeah, from Mac as well. We want to do a short video here working on moving to the next step with Mac. We've been working a lot on his obedience. He's starting to progress into the stages where we're doing some more hunting training with bird and gun introductions, and now we want to touch on something that we've spent a little bit of time on before, which is place training. He fully understands that. We taught this behavior with positive reinforcement using freebie, using our clicker and dog food or treats here. He understands. Kennel, good boy. Kennel needs to go on to the dog bed. Now, he doesn't know that that means that he needs to stay there. And what we like to do, once the dog understands something, understands the cue completely, is reinforce this using negative reinforcement. That's where we're going to introduce the collar. So we'll be collar conditioning Mac to stay there on the dog bed. Good. Come on. Sit. So we're going to start with a short refresher training session. Kennel. Kind of get his mind in the set of training and working here. Good. Sit. Good boy. Kind of waited. He had this half-sitting thing going on. Good. Kennel. Good boy. Good boy. Now, in the early stages of this process, so this was a prime example here. He jumped off the bed, jumped back on the bed. He understands, I get on the bed and I can get rewarded for that. So he's going to try and do it as many times as possible, which means that we have a dog that is willing to work with us and willing to train and learn something. So what we need to be able to do with the collar conditioning aspect of things is build more consistency and help him to stay there longer. Because now we have a way to say, you have to stay there when we ask you to. Good. So we're going to start by putting the collar on. This is something that's really important, is making sure that the collar is tight enough. Now, we're going to be using primarily vibrate with him, but you want to be able to put 2 or 3 fingers underneath the collar here and pull it down so that it's snug. You want to make sure that when you pull on the collar box that you can't make a big gap. Here, we'll loosen it up and I'll show you the wrong way to do it. So we've got it on here. You can pull the collar clear away from his neck. It's not going to make contact consistently, and consistency is one of the huge parts of dog training here. The more consistent we are with training, the better everything is going to be, and the easier it's going to be for our doggy companions to understand what we're asking. So we have already done a little bit of collar conditioning with Mac, not with this specifically, but with recall using vibrate. So he understands or has an idea of how to turn the collar off by doing something that we're asking. We're going to use something new now that he already knows. He's shown us that he understands the cue kennel means to go onto the dog bed. We're going to teach him to turn the collar off by complying with that cue. We can use the collar for anything, but we don't teach with the collar. We just build consistency. So we're going to start here. Mac. Good. We've got his attention. We're going to push the button, then ask him, Kennel. Yeah. I will hold the collar up when I push the button, and you're going to see his, you're going to see him change just a little bit. You can tell that he is feeling it. But here is collar's on. Mac. Come on. Good. Kennel. As soon as he's on there, it shuts off. Now, he came off. Mac. He's trying to figure out what to do. Mac. Come on, buddy. Good. So, as soon as he's on the bed, the collar shuts off. Kennel. Good. He's going to figure this out pretty quickly, but the bed is the safe zone. So, collar's back on. Good. Kennel. Good. Mac. Kennel. There. So, no collar on right now. This is, again, the safe zone. He understands that we got the collar up here. Now, you saw a little bit of him trying to figure out what he's supposed to be doing, and that's, come on, Mac. Come on. We've got a distraction in the other room here. Come on, buddy. Good. As soon as he kennels, collar shuts off. Now we can help him a little bit too. If he tries to come off, we can stop. Hey, stay put. The idea is that he's going to learn to stay on this dog bed until he's released. And the collar becomes a very, very, very valuable tool in this process. Again, just using vibrate, he's learning that when he comes off of the bed, he feels the collar, when he's not supposed to come off the bed, and when he goes back on the bed, the collar shuts off. So timing is important. The second he were to come off the bed, the collar has to come on until he gets back on there and can shut the collar off by doing something that we already have taught him, which is kennel. So now, I'm going to release him from the bed. He's doing a good job. Yeah, good. And then we'll ask again by turning the collar on and asking with the cue kennel. Okay. Yeah, good. So, we'll hit the button. Back, kennel. Good boy. Back. Good. So, again, the collar turned on, he jumped on the bed, I shut it off, he jumped off the bed, collar came back on until he was back on the bed. Now, eventually we're going to get to the point where we can send him from further and further distances. Yeah. Yeah. Huh? And as he gets better with this, you're going to see more consistency with him staying on the bed. And this can become a very valuable tool for situations just like we have today. A big holiday event. We want the dogs to be able to be part of that, but they need to be able to behave too. When you've got lots of people or food or different things going on, place training can be a very valuable tool to keep that whole process a lot less hectic and a lot less troublesome from the dogs themselves. So we're going to release him again. Okay. Okay, good boy. We're going to send him back. The collar is on. Back, kennel. Now, I anticipated that time that he was going to do that same jump off move. So I left the collar running the entire time. We're asking for more now. I don't want it to be a habit that I say kennel, he runs, skips across the bed, and then keeps going. So he felt the collar until he came back on and stayed. We need to be able to recognize patterns that our dogs are exhibiting. They will do one thing in training, and if you see that start to happen multiple times, we have to figure out if it's not a desirable trait. Collar's back on. Good. Good. So if you see an undesirable trait happen several times in a row in a training session, that itself can become a new thing that we'll have to fix. So we kind of have to recognize those things are happening and figure out a way to stop them. In this situation, I moved onto this side of the bed to kind of block him a little bit, as well as he felt the collar the entire time until he got back on the bed and stayed properly. Now, you can see he's pretty comfortable here. We do a lot of evening treats and hangout time. He'll get to hang out and lay with the older dogs, which they're already collar conditioned and understand how to stay on the bed. And when he gets to stay with them, it just kind of develops a habit without using any pressure, without using any positive or negative reinforcement. He just gets to lay there because he's learning by example, basically. Now, so the dog beds themselves are very comfortable for him hanging out wise, as you can see.
He's been hanging out on dog beds, getting treats and bones to chew on since he was basically an 8-week-old puppy.
Mm-hmm. Good. So we're going to do some more reps. We're going to release him. We're going to send him back. And you're going to start to see, I would assume here in a few more repetitions, a much better understanding of going on and staying until we release him again. Okay, come on. Good. When you release your puppy from the bed, you want to do just that. Come to them to release them. Dogs are really good at anticipating situations. So if you release them from across the room or you release them when you are not next to them, it opens a lot more anticipation from the puppy itself to release when they hear maybe something in general conversation, or if you look at them or mention or kind of give any attention to them, they go, oh, that was my release, because that's the only time mom and dad look at me. Well, we don't want that to be the case. So we want to be, the release to be from the bed itself, especially in these early stages of the training process. Come on, Mac. Come on. So we're going to go ahead and turn the collar on. Good boy. Come on. Mac. Good. Kennel. So until we're going to ask one more time. Mac, 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 kennel. Good. So as soon as he's on the bed, the collar shuts off. He was feeling it the entire time. He came over to me. He tried to sit by my side. He thought, maybe that's what I can do. No. We asked kennel, you need to stay there. Now, we're going to continue to add a little bit of difficulty to this by giving him some more freedom. So far, when I've been asking him to stay, I've kind of been by him the entire time. As we move further away from him, it's going to be pretty likely that he wants to come with us. If he comes with us, again, he's going to feel the collar until he goes back. He needs to understand, stay there until I'm released. Good. So, as soon as I started to walk away, he started to come with me. You know? Collar shuts off there. Good. We don't really need a Mac, 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 kennel. We don't really need a stay. The stay is really implied. All you're doing at that point is helping your own brain work by trying to speak English to an animal that doesn't really understand English. So kennel should mean go to the dog bed and stay there until I release you. And the fewer words or cues or commands that we can use, the better off the whole process and the simpler the process is going to be for us and anybody else that gets to handle the dog. So he's staying right now. We're going to come back and reward him for that. A little bit of love and attention goes a long way with this guy. Yeah. He is a super cuddle bug and just loves to be with you. This brings us into some of the other things we've talked about with developing a puppy. Calm hands make a calm dog, and the more calmly that we can interact with our puppies, the better they're going to understand how to also interact with us. We don't want them to jump up at us and get excited and act like naughty puppies. We want them to understand that this is how they're going to get our attention. When they're behaving, calmly sitting here, good boy. Good. Now, he needs to stay here. Again, I would assume I've come and given him some attention. He's probably going to follow me off. As soon as he starts to come with me, he's going to feel the collar. If he doesn't, we'll give him a few seconds and then come back and reward him. Now, if he starts to come off, we can use a little bit of a verbal, and that would just be the ah that we use anytime Doug's doing something they're not supposed to. Again, that's how we simplify the process. It's not no, down, off, get out of the garbage, whatever. It's all one cue, and that's going to be a little bit of a growly. It's more natural for them to understand. It's just the tone in your voice and the inflection of the whole process is what they're going to understand better than anything. So if he does something wrong, it's you know, there's nothing else needs to be said. All you're doing when you're using all of these words is, again, speaking English to a dog that doesn't understand English. So now, while they're behaving here, he can get a dog bone to chew on, or he can get a toy that he can play with. Now, a lot of times when you get the toys and bones, sometimes they get flung off the bed, and then they're like, ooh, I can maybe go get that, and then go back. And so there are sometimes some naughty habits that can happen from that. But at the same time, I don't want him to get bored staying here and then start chewing on my windowsill or something like that. So it's always a good idea to reward him when he is doing a good job. Yes. Yeah, good. Again, calmly. He doesn't need to get riled up to understand that he's doing a good thing. That he's doing a good thing. Oh, sneeze. Yeah, sneeze.
And they are a higher energy breed in general, so the more calm we can condition them to be, the better we'll be in the future. We won't have a 65-pound short hair acting like a crazy little puppy, because that's how they think they get attention.
Now, we utilize place training, especially having more dogs. Typically, we'll have anywhere from, we have 3 dog beds that go in our eat-in kitchen area. And the dogs come up and they're all excited to start off with, and we kennel all of them until that excitement is kind of worn off. It's a very, very good way to develop. We come upstairs and we relax. Just like when I was a kid, my mom always told my brothers and I that if we wanted to roughhouse, we could take it outside. It's the same thing here. We want to save bouncing around and running and mucking basically for outside and coming in and relaxing and being calm and not bouncing off the walls is an inside thing. So we're going to go ahead and release him again. Okay, he's doing a very good job. He says, nah, it's safer just to stay here. Okay, good boy. Matt. So again, hit the button. So where do I go? Kennel. Good. As soon as he gets on there, the collar shuts off. And he's already got it down here. I go, get on the bed, lay down, and this is a good thing. So we're just going to be able to continue with this progression using vibrate on the collar and asking more and more and more. So he will stay there for 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, making sure to reward him with a little bit of attention. Oh, you got an itchy there? Huh? Got one in there? Started. I don't know, it must be gone. But we'll continue with him to build on this. We can't just go from this to asking him to stay here for an hour. We need to progress through this process with different time increments. As he gets better, we will use the collar on him now that we've kind of taught this to him. Most evenings that he's up, expecting him to stay here for 30 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour, making sure that he stays while we're doing different things in the house, whether that be cooking dinner or the other dogs are walking around, so that adds distraction. All of these things are going to be progressions that we can work through, and we will video some of that as he continues to get better. But we wanted to show you this very valuable tool, place training, and once your dog understands the cue, that's the first step. Then we can introduce the collar using negative reinforcement to build a more consistent situation. Now, can you do it without the collar? Yes, but we find that it works in our program and you get there a little bit faster. Especially, we're just using vibrate. So, I want to show you guys another thing. This is just all part of puppy training and development. We talk about trimming nails, we talk about general checkups, and this little guy does need his nails trimmed right now. So I want to show you that. We've done a couple videos. We've actually done a couple videos where we've trimmed his nails, and he is not the biggest fan of it, but he is getting better. Yeah, good. Okay, so we're going to release him. We'll get ready here. Yeah. He's kind of a little bit of an exaggerator, so we just have to help him to relax here. And we're going to take a couple minutes first and make sure that he is chilling. And then we can start trimming. Anytime he fights, struggles, or anything else, we're going to just We're going to take, no, stop. This is what I mean about the exaggeration aspect of things. So I haven't even done anything yet, and he's whimpering just because he doesn't enjoy this. Some dogs like it more than others. Now, if we continue, I would say that we probably hear about more dogs not enjoying this process than we do about, oh, my dog loves to get their nails trimmed. So I want to show you a puppy that, I mean, this is how all of our dogs start. He maybe exaggerates a little more than some of the others, but they're puppies. They aren't expected to be perfect. But if we stay on top of this, now, when he gets to be 40, he's not quite there yet, 50, 60, whatever pounds as a grown adult, and it's a lot harder to kind of hold him down. He, by that point in time, doing this over the next year, he's going to be at the point where he just says, all right, this is part of life, and they're going to do this. They're going to trim my nails, and I have to stay here until they're done. And it's not an unenjoyable process. So we will go ahead and trim through these. Now, we've shown several times how to actually trim nails. I'm not going to really go into that. I'm just going to get through these pretty quick as he's behaving now. We don't have to take much off of them, but doing this on the regular basis, you can see already he tried for a little bit. It was, I'm going to squirm a little bit, I'm going to cry. like you hurt me or whatever. And now he's already to the point where he's giving in. This is a huge progression from the last couple of videos that you guys have seen. I think they took probably 10 or 15 minutes for him to calm down. Bought him most of the time we were trimming his nails. What we're trying to do with these live videos with Mac is show you guys how a puppy actually progresses here. They aren't just perfect, but it does take a lot of time to be consistent, and the more consistent you are through puppyhood, rather than just saying, well, he hates this, I don't want to do it, and then all of a sudden he is a wild monster, you have to take to the vet, and they have to pin him down in the back room and not show you that they're just pinning him down and clipping his nails. So this can be an enjoyable process. Just start with them while they're little and show them that it's not that bad. Once they finish, we always like to spend a couple minutes with this, just rubbing their belly. Even if he tries to struggle and get away now and we're done, I'm going to stop him and hold him here. He just needs to understand that laying on his back and relaxing here is a good deal. So.
And he gets a little extra love and attention, which he absolutely loves.
Yeah.
So if he understands that, hey, this isn't a terrible process, and I get love and affection on top of it, it's going to make the process that much more enjoyable for him. He realizes he did not get hurt. Nothing happened when we trimmed his nails that hurt him, and he also got love and attention out of it.
Good.
And he's just relaxed now.
Good. On that note, y'all have a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you next time with Mr. Mac. Hello. Hello. Thanks for tuning in.